Good morning, everyone. It is Kay Stokes. I am super excited for us to be here on Friday on Agent Voice. And I will tell you, before we got started this morning, I must have had just a little bit of extra coffee, or maybe it's because of the guests we have. But I am very, very, let me add one more, very excited about today. It's interesting because I have to get this off my chest, because for 17 years, I've been in this industry from the boardroom to the street. And I hear people talk about technology changing everything. It's always going to replace the agent. It's always going to do this. It's always going to do that. We saw billions and billions of dollars come into the real estate space in technology. Now, don't get me wrong. Technology is great because we're all leveraging this. But I want us to start to adopt a mindset and an attitude, knowing and understanding that technology is a tool, and technology will never be as important as the technician is. Every single one of us as agents should be spending time now getting mastery of the technology, becoming masterful technicians, becoming effective operators, and people that stand out because of the tools, not hide behind the tools. So I had to get that off my chest, because your income and the growth of your business moving forward will be more about the caliber and quality of your craftsmanship and the way you do it than it will be the tools that you go out and buy or the subscription that you subscribe for. If you don't know how to use them or where they fit in your business, you are going to be behind the 8 ball. But to hear today on Agent Voice to get you ahead of the curve is my friend, author, speaker, recently the Riz Media Newsmaker 2020, Kendall Bonner from Remax Capital Real Estate in Lutz, Florida. Kendall, welcome to the program. I am so excited about what you're about to bring and the time we get to spend together. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to see you guys. I came through with new hair.
I love it. I love it.
You guys know my hair is my thing. So thank you. What a wonderful and kind introduction, Kay. I appreciate you. I'm humbled by this experience and the opportunity to share with my peers and share with the people around the country and around the world joining us today, live streaming and watching this recording. Thank you. Thank you
for being with us. Thank you for being with us. Well, let's dive in.
Yeah, so to start the conversation off, I wanted to share a couple of slides I put together just to kind of give a visual so you don't have to stare at my face this whole time, just to start the conversation and start the flow of ideas and hopefully inspire you guys listening and watching today so that we can take our business to the next level. You know, you guys know me, it's all about improving that hustle and leveling up. And I wanted to try to, like I said, inspire you guys a little bit today. So I'm gonna go into screen share and go from there. All right, so the question I wanted to start off with is, I know I talk a ton about, I love technology. I believe that technology has a significant place in the real estate space and stuff like that. But to me, the most important question we should be asking ourselves right now is, what have we learned and how do we take what we've learned through this COVID experience? I'm calling it the event, right? Because events have a start and an end date, and I'm believing that there will be an end date for all of this, for all of us. But how do we take what we've learned from this event to enhance the customer experience? That's what CX means, right? It's all about the customer experience. And so I want to ask you guys, what will people pay more for? If I can get my slide to go. Uh-oh. Where are we moving? Slide? Okay. All right, there we go. So, when we're talking about enhancing the customer experience, I think like there's going to be 2 main things that people do pay more for as a result of what they're, like I said, what they're willing to just pay more for, right? And the first thing is efficiency. People will pay more to be more efficient. They'll spend more money on that, because at the end of the day, it's not just about what we it's an exchange of value, what we do for clients, right? And our services and then the things that we do. So to me, I feel like what we have learned from this experience is that using technology can help us be more efficient, right? That's one thing we've learned. The second thing that I feel that we've learned is that for the future, we really, really, really need to be thinking about, because people will pay for convenience, right?
That's right.
Kate and I were talking earlier this week, talking about, just the future and technology and all this stuff. And we were saying, what do people value, at the end of the day? And you and I both agreed, we think that people will pay for and pay more for, they'll pay 10x for a lot of times, convenience and efficiency. It's one of the things that, why Amazon is doing what it's doing, why Uber and Lyft were able to disrupt their industries, why Netflix was able to disrupt its industry. We have an opportunity to disrupt our own industry and be a part of that disruption, as opposed to letting it happen to us, by embracing the things by paying attention to the things that our customers want and by embracing those things, right? So I have some ideas here on how we can bring together both efficiency through technology, as well as providing convenience to our customers without sacrificing value, right? So I want to talk to you guys too about this idea. I had the pleasure of interviewing Michael Thorne. Shout out to Michael Thorne. You are amazing, brother.
Yes, he is.
I appreciate him so much, right? Yes, you had him on your show here too as well, right? I mean, he's phenomenal.
Right.
And he introduced me to a term that I had already kind of understood what it was and what he was talking about, but I hadn't labeled it, right? So for the last year and a half, I'd been talking about and teaching people about how to deepen digital relationships, right? That's one concept. Michael Thorne introduced me to digital door knocking, all right?
Yes.
I love this concept. And so what does that mean? Think about this, guys. When you go to physically door knock, which is an old school traditional way of lead generating, right, in our business, right?
Right.
So what is door knocking? Door knocking is, who's that convenient for? The door knocker. Not the door knocking.
That's about it.
Right? It is convenient is because the agent, it's like in Florida, we have to wait till the evenings because, it's hot here, or you're waiting till the evenings till the customer gets home or something like that. It's totally convenient for us. It's totally inconvenient for the consumer, for the person at home. They're not waiting for you to door knock their home. They're not waiting for you to reach out to them to sell their home typically, right? But if we could create this digital door knock concept, right, which is, the use of video, for example, where you are introducing customers to you, to the services that you provide, to the education that they're looking for, who is that convenient for?
Right.
It's convenient for them, right? They can watch those videos at 10 p.m., 10 a.m., 3 a.m., whenever it is convenient for them. So that ticks that one convenient box. What else does that tick? How does that tick the efficiency box? When you door knock, how many doors can you physically knock in an hour? Well, I'll be generous and say 10, assuming your houses are pretty close together and basically no one's home, right? So in an hour, you can door knock 10 homes. But if you're digitally door knocking, you could be in 1 million homes a day through your video.
That's right.
You catch that? You catch that efficiency, right? I mean, like, people, so hopefully you guys are catching that concept. So, we have an opportunity to enhance the way that we do things for lead generation, lead conversion, client servicing, by using technology. And I think with COVID-19 and the fact that it's caused people to have to stay home, right, and not get out and be able to do some of the things that they're usually expecting and able to do, where have they gone? They've gone to technology, they've gone to social media, they've gone to YouTube, they've gone, to places like TikTok to be entertained, to be educated, to connect, right? We're now using things like Zoom, GoToMeeting, Google Hangouts, Messenger, right? To connect, because while we might be physically distant, we're more socially connecting. We're connecting socially now more than ever, in my opinion and in my experience. And so I'm thinking like, okay, so how do we take that? How do we take those concepts? How do we take that and like pivot and use this to take us to the next level? So some ideas I have for you guys, right? You're already experiencing virtual open houses and virtual showings. I think we should continue that into the future. That is both convenient and efficient for our customers. Imagine, most customers are they're going to want to see 10 homes sometimes, but is that always the most efficient thing to do? And is that also convenient for our sellers to be showing them 10 homes, knowing off the bat, 8 of them, they're going to knock out of the box, within 10.10 seconds of being in the home, right? Or even just driving by. But if we could take them to the home and through the home virtually, we can see those 10 homes in an hour as opposed to 4 to 6 hours, right? We can save the stress of our sellers of having to clean their homes constantly. They'll actually get more exposure if you think about it. A seller can get, because people now will be more inclined to look at more properties because they can do it virtually. And also now instead, we're now taking our buyers safely through 2 homes instead of 10. Right? To help them finalize those decisions. That is both efficient and convenient, right? For all parties. It's a win-win. And it's also good for agents, I think. Another virtual meeting that I think that is not happening as enough that I think could or should be, for example, buyer seminars. You guys are trying to gather buyers under your belt to work with, right? To collect leads, right? As a lead generation tool. When you do a face-to-face in office or, live meeting of buyers, you're limited to the local 1, 2, or 3 buyers that are available at the time that you're offering your session. Imagine doing it virtually. And now you can collect buyers because you know what? I love my New Yorkers, and my New York agents, but we're about to, you're about to list some houses and we're about to sell some houses here in Florida, right? I mean, we've got New Yorkers that are going to come down to Florida, in ways where I believe that,
Right.
And other northern states, are going to come down south or move west because no one wants what has happened to them. If they got locked in their home, like truly locked in, no one wants to be locked in a cage or in a prison, right?
That's
we
right.
want
Yeah.
to be in a space that's comfortable, that we love. And having a home is going to have a whole new meaning after this event. Like we need to realize
100%.
and understand.
And I think, Kendall, you're hitting a couple great points here. And what I'll do is, can you pull your slide down real quick from screen share? Because I think people are wanting to dive a little bit deeper into this information and some of these thoughts. So let's put it in buckets, right? Because I find what people want to do is they want to digest some things. We talked about that exterior marketing aspect of it. Michael, when he was on the show, talked about it. Melanie Galea, which by the way, our thoughts and prayers go out to Melanie right now. They are dealing with a flood of all things in Fort McMurray. And again, this champion of the people, Melanie, is on the front lines being a conveyor of information and serving her community. So please send your thoughts and your prayers to Melanie. Reach out to her, encourage her, and keep her lifted up. But she talked about that as well, as the exterior part of it, that video working for you, which is pretty powerful. So that's one bucket, right? The external part. But I think that next bucket that we really need to look at is not just the efficiency and convenience for that client, but our daily, day-to-day business activities. What are we getting rid of? We're not putting MLS books out anymore because we've got IDX and we've got digital MLS. So what you're talking about specifically is becoming efficient and effective in your business practice, right? Yeah. In your day-to-day operations with these buyer seminars. Instead of scheduling them in libraries out in the community all over the place, what can you leverage right now in just how you set your week up to reach that audience, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could 10x that exposure by doing it virtually, right? You could take, instead of getting 5 people locally, you can market to or get exposure to 100 people. I had an agent do in our office, a virtual open house tour I think it was just this last Sunday. She had over 150 people show up.
Wow.
Who has ever had 150 people at a live open house? Like
right.
It just doesn't happen, right?
Right.
But a virtual open house, you can do that. And so I think that there's some significant opportunities here that we should embrace, as opposed to saying, oh, that was just a COVID thing. I don't think it should be just a COVID thing, because the COVID thing is we're still going to have some long-term, I believe, effects and side effects. We're going to have people wearing masks, you know, for weeks and months now into the future, until we get some sort of cure or treatment or vaccine. You know, none of us know what's going to happen there, but you know, this is, maybe we won't all have to be forced to stay at home, but we still have to be concerned about safety, and
Absolutely.
we need to prioritize that. And but the beautiful thing is we've learned some lessons through this. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to say that we should capitalize on this scary event, you know, for people that are scared by it, but really we should learn from it so we can project or propel forward and move forward without fear, and be able to still do our job at a high level. So,
well, and I think capitalizing
some other ideas
on
I had
really versus.
Oh,
I was just going to say, I think the difference between capitalizing on something versus seeing an opportunity is really your intent, right? And if your intent at its core is to serve, like you were saying, provide that customer experience, if that's your core intent and you're not just focusing on the transactional side, right, but you're focusing on the transformational side, then I think that's where, as a doer, you can execute, and you can execute from pure motives. I want to throw a poll up real quick to survey our audience, because this is always fun. And so, Kendall, welcome to the Agent Voice and our live polling. This is always fun. The first poll we're going to throw up is around virtual buyer presentations. So we're going to throw this up real quick, and it says this: how do you feel about virtual buyer presentations? I haven't done one, but I'd love to learn. I have done it, and I need a better process. I have been doing them and think I will continue. I'm doing them now and will make them part of every deal going forward, okay? So we're gonna open that up and allow you to go ahead and start voting. We're not gonna focus on this while you're voting. We're gonna talk about another subject. This is that multitasking part of Agent Voice, because we like to keep it moving. But Kendall, here's what I'd like to do. Let's talk specifically. Sean Quinn asked a question. It may be convenient for the client, but how do you make it effective? And I think there's another question John Erickson asked, and he says, how would you create and promote a buyer seminar? I think both of those get to the crux of a very specific topic, and that is this. Let's reverse engineer together. Let's spitball a little bit, an effective buyer seminar. Let's spitball and talk about an effective virtual open house, and maybe a virtual listing presentation, or buyer's presentation. Let's talk through that a little bit and have some fun on the chat, have some fun with our Q&A, and see if we can do this from beginning to end, right? So somebody says, I want to, let's start with a buyer presentation, right? I want to do a seminar, okay? Normally I'm going to send out an email to my sphere of influence. I'm going to set up a location. I'm going to make sure everything's right in that location. I might go buy some food. I might buy some snacks. I might, do all these different types of things. I'm probably going to spend about 8 to 10 hours over 2 to 3 weeks in bandwidth and marketing efforts, right, to set up that buyer seminar at the local library. Agree?
Right. Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's start reverse engineering then, reaching that same audience, or even better yet, a larger audience. Walk me through a little bit how I can use and what technology I could use to do that same thing in about an hour, maybe 30 minutes of production.
One of the things that I would recommend doing is video, right? I've been preaching about video. I know so many of us, you're on this because you believe in video. You're doing this session because you believe in video and the power of it. One of the things I have to tell people, we've always said, and I'm going to connect a couple of things here, because I want to make a point before we get into the actual meat of this. 2 things. One, technology and becoming a masterful technician is about using tech to enhance what you do, not replace what you do, right? So we're not going to replace the anything in terms of the buyer consultation, the open house, or the virtual showing, in terms of it does it for you and you don't have to be a part of it, right? You're still a part of this. So
Yes.
those things never change, and the value that you bring to it don't change. But what I will say to you is this, is in the past, it has always been, and is there a way for me to close out my, I'm going to close, if I close out the poll on my end, it's not going to mess it up on.
No, it shouldn't.
Okay, sorry. It's like messing up screen view, people. This is live.
Okay.
So anyway, the other thing I want to say is in the past, we've always thought of, I would say getting face-to-face, belly-to-belly, toe-to-toe has always been the best and most efficient way to get to customers, has always been the best. And I think that's changing. And this is why. One, or why I think it's appropriate for it to change, I'll say that too, is because problem with getting face-to-face is it's not scalable and it's not efficient, all right? Video is scalable and it is more efficient, meaning, and it can have a same or similar effect on know, like, and trust. So let me give you an example. I have been doing video, if you guys watch #Wednesdays, and I apologize, I've been like MIA for since R4, that's another conversation. I apologize, people. Maybe this will be my get back, my comeback.
Right.
But anyway, people would meet me at R4 who followed my #Wednesday videos.
Right.
And to this day, this still happens to me. And they're like, Kendall, and want to hug me, talk to me, like we are really good friends. And sometimes I know who they are, sometimes I don't.
Right.
But the point is that they felt that they knew me just by virtue of the video connectivity. So how does that impact? So that's why I say that is in a much better use of your time and your energy. Because guess what, people, those of you that still are hung up on your Shrek image of yourself, I talked about that at R4, like you think you look like Shrek on video? Listen, that's how you look like in real life, and that's how you sound in real life. Who cares? It does not matter. So get over that. And if you want ideas on how to get more confident and all of that stuff, I have videos on my YouTube channel about that. But what we need to be doing is doing video pieces, talking to customers like you would talk to them face to face. Like I'm talking to you right now and saying, hey, I want to help you. Come learn more at my buyer seminar. I want to help you. Let's sit down and have a one-to-one conversation about what it would look like to help you buy the home that you want, so that you get the home you actually want, right? Things like that. It's like there are these opportunities that you can have that and have an impact and be dripping on them slowly but surely. I think marketing today, you can use Facebook and Instagram and things like that to get in front of people. You can use BombBomb, Constant Contact, direct messenger. I mean, there are lists everywhere.
There are lists everywhere. And I think that's the part of it. Yeah. It's organizing to yourself to say, what am I going to execute? What am I going to actually do? I love that the point that you made about not replacing, because I do think that is an important distinction. And in fact, as you were talking, one of the things that jumped to mind for me is utilizing the video and the buyer seminar as a way to then schedule private appointments. So you do the buyer seminar, right? So you put that video out through social media, through different distribution channels, through BombBomb, and you say, I'm doing a buyer seminar, right? Yeah. And as you're doing the buyer seminar and you're answering Q&A, similar to what we're doing right now, if you would like to schedule a personal appointment, right? Keeping safety in mind, if you want to schedule a personal appointment to talk about your specific need, they can do that instantly, right? And that's lining up your calendar, your schedule, and also your ability to really meet that individual's need right there. 100%. And you've been doing Zoom for a long time, right? Is that the most exciting technology for you right now, or are there other technologies that you're excited about?
I think, oh gosh, I have quite a few things that I love tech-wise. I don't know if I can say there's one that I'm like the most excited about, but I would say there's probably a few. Okay. And one of them is, as you guys know, I love video. So I have my Big View app that I love. And because one of the reasons I love Big View is the closed captioning. aspect.
Wait,
You know,
talk about why that's important though. That's a great, I mean, that's a great point.
yeah.
Tell us why the closed captioning is so important.
Because I believe one of the last statistics I saw was like 83% of videos watched on social media are watched with the sound off, right?
Wow.
And so that's a huge number. And so if you want people to, and the problem with social media, as opposed to not YouTube, all right? I'm not gonna talk YouTube. I'm talking about Instagram and Facebook, LinkedIn. We are subject to the scroll, right?
Yes.
And when people are scrolling and they get to something like, oh, I know who that is. That's Stokes. He does good videos. He does great videos. I want to watch it. Oh, but I'm in bed. My husband's next to me asleep. I can't listen right now. I'll have to get to that later. And they keep scrolling. Problem is Facebook doesn't always bring that video back to you. When you scroll past it, Facebook assumes you're not interested anymore. It doesn't keep coming back to you over and over and over again. So whereas, you could go search for something like that on YouTube, it's hard to search for content on Facebook and Instagram, right?
That's
you
true.
can't say, oh, I want to go find that video Kendall did and search Kendall. Well, shoot, you're going to find like 10 million things there, right? So it just makes it's not as searchable. It's not as easy to search, right? So unless you do certain things that like I create albums that I push content into, so that way if someone does want to go back and find something from me, at least they have an album to go to that's searchable, right? And you can do the same thing for your customers, right? Like, hey, I've got a whole video section on home inspections, on appraisals, and all the lessons you can learn regarding that. Or hey, seller staging. Well, you could have a whole seller album of videos where you talk about all the different things and concerns that sellers might have that they can watch videos of you edu-marketing to them about, right? Which is another concept that I think is appropriate for use with video. So I would say video is one of my techs. Another,
and we did post the Big View link in the chat for everybody so that they can see that. Yep.
Cool. And then also another technology I love, and it's exclusive to Remax, is the First.io tech. That is using artificial intelligence to help us identify who in our sphere of influence is most likely to need to buy or sell real estate in the next, 12 months. I love that technology. I think that is a game changer for real estate professionals. And then I would say a third tech that, I'm going to say 3 and 4 together, they're like tied for me, is YouTube and podcast.
Yeah.
I think YouTube and podcasts are the hidden gems of opportunity for real estate professionals that if they would dive into these and really grow and learn how to utilize them, you can create a broader audience and a bigger audience than you've ever imagined. I think, real estate people are moving across country, across the world. It's no longer just hyper local. Like real estate used to be hyper local. And if you didn't know the local community, you were not going to be able to do business. It's so much bigger than that now. And we've got to find ways to connect bigger than just that hyper local. I'm not saying the hyper local isn't still important. It's just expanded beyond that. And I think technology now is a way that we can work together to embrace that.
Absolutely. On the Agent Next 2020 tour that you've heard, and complete revamp, which is awesome. Talking about blowing up your business model, I love it. It's tremendous. But one of the things we talk about specifically, you are a local Apple seller in a global marketplace, right? So you have those goods and services and that inventory in your local community that you need to know and you need to understand. But the way you demonstrate value can be on a global stage for a buyer that's moving all over. And you touched on it before. That person that's coming out of the event, as you like to call it, and is moving from north to south. They don't just want to go on and take a look at a house, but they want to know the personality and the character and how you go about doing your business. And YouTube is a great way for you to demonstrate that.
Oh my gosh. And that reminds me of another idea that I had learned from another colleague and friend of mine in a related industry. Let me tell you another positive way to enhance the customer experience using Zoom or some sort of technology like this to engage with customers. Google Earth, people. Sometimes you have people that are moving across state lines, across county lines, you know, moving hours away. And I'm telling you, Tampa, Miami could not be more different. All right.
Yeah.
They're totally different, same state, 4 hours apart, totally different communities. If you have someone moving from one area to the next, they don't know what to expect, right? And how can you help them? Because they're not going to be able to drive the 4 hours just to come up and drive neighborhoods. But guess what, guys? I can bring Google Earth from the sky down to our computer screen and walk someone through driving through a community, showing them what it physically looks like. What does it look like from, you know, where are the grocery stores in relation to the community? Is it high rises? Is it, you know, what does it look like when a house is, you know, like we have a bunch of 60 by 110 lots here versus, you know, half acre lots. Some people want to see, what does that look like? What is the difference between, because that's a different community experience, right? What does the community look like that has an HOA versus not an HOA? What do the amenities look like? Hey, let's take Google Earth and like, let's look at the clubhouse from the sky and the pools and all of that good stuff. Those are some of the types of things that we can show them and use to deliver some value that you can't do face-to-face in the same way.
Well, so I think that we are starting to grasp the fact that there are all these opportunities and options to be able to do that. We just have to kind of execute them and get comfortable with how you do that. And that takes practice, right? You can't just say, oh, I'm doing it today. You got to be willing to fail, right? You've got to be willing to make that mistake, even be transparent with your client and say, guess what? I'm doing this for the first time. And people give you that grace, but it creates that human connection, right? As Bomb would say, you know, that you're rehumanizing even the transaction, letting them know you're deploying this new technology. I want to get to 2 questions. And again, it's Friday on Agent Voice, right? So we're going to go to our Q&A, and then I want to come back specifically to this piece. One of the questions that's there is having a deaf child. This comes from Terry Tillinghouse. I think I got it right. Tillinghouse, Terry, I'm trying you, all right? Having a deaf child had me using closed captioning for many, many years. The only problem is people need to turn it on. Do you know a way to caption always and not click to use closed captioning? Does that depend on the platform, or is that something that you just should go in with every video and make sure that you're doing?
So,
great question, Terry.
Yes, thank you. That is going to depend everything on the creator of the content. And I think that is something, and that's one of the things that I push apps like Big View. There's also subtitles. I mean, there's a ton of products out there, guys, to help you. And I think Clips does it, which is an Apple product. I have a whole list of these. There's another one off the top of my head. It'll come to me in a second. But it has everything to do with the creator of the content. We need to start owning that responsibility of providing an experience for the people, for the listener, for the consumer of our content that makes it as easy, as convenient, and as efficient as possible for them to experience us. And that's how you get, you know, massive views and massive exposure. So all those technologies, Terry, in my experience, they tend to have a cost to them, and they're attached to the video. They have feeds that, like, you can record a video and then attach the closed caption. And then when you post the content to your social platforms, it will have it attached. Your Facebook business page will do it for free, although that's difficult to edit. YouTube will also do it for free, but it's also hard to, like, once you put it in YouTube, to extract that closed caption product and put it somewhere. I like to just load it into my platforms, whether it's Instagram, IGTV, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, with the closed captions already attached. So that's how I do it. And Big View has been the easiest and best way for me to do that. So I don't know. I know that typically when you're going through third-party sources like a YouTube or whatever, you do have to turn it on as a consumer. Like you have the option to turn it on. I do. I watch all videos. Even I can hear, and I still watch videos and content with the closed caption. It just helps me to absorb the content. So
yeah, absolutely. I do as well. It's interesting with I've got 3 boys at home, and my middle son is an avid reader. And for the past 4 years, he started reading when he was really young, but for the past 4 years, he always turns closed captioning on with every movie, everything that we're watching. And what's really interesting about that is I find myself just that's how I watch video now. I watch it online. I watch it in my own house with closed captioning on all the time. Shout out to Anna Duarte as well in the chat. She posted a couple different links for some people in subtitles. She's amazing, by the way. Great resource if you guys have questions about a lot of this stuff as well. Also want to answer this question, and this might be an interesting one for us to tackle real quickly, because it is not, again, it's not a pivot from technology, because you know, people always talk about technology and innovation. The reality of it was, at one point in time, they were having a feast outside a cave, and somebody walked out from the cave with meat hanging in their teeth. And next to the fire was a log, and somebody that they were talking to was tired of watching the meat hanging from their teeth. They picked up a piece of the log and gave it to them, and a toothpick was invented, right? So it was innovative, right? At that moment in time, the toothpick had been born. It had been born. All right.
Yeah.
So I want to go to this question because I think it's a very appropriate question. We talk so much about these electronic and digital technologies. There's a question that came in that said, as I'm deploying these strategies, as far as engaging people and getting to the consumer, these are great ideas. How do we feel about newspapers right now? Now, I think that's such a great question. And the only way I'll start out my answer to that, and then I'll hand it to you, Kendall, is it depends on the market where you are. There are certain markets where the newspaper is still, especially that local paper, a still valuable source for the community. So I wouldn't completely abandon it, but I think it also touches on something that you just talked about, Kendall, and that was even when you're looking at the closed caption technology, how about cost? What is the ROI on whatever it is that you're investing in? So Kendall, what are your thoughts on newspaper and expanding that idea even beyond?
So yeah, so when I think of newspaper, I just think about print, right? Like print, you know, where's print headed? You know, I'm an avid reader. I gave up books for a Nook probably about 7 years ago. But it doesn't mean I don't buy books. I do still buy a print copy of certain books because I have a way that I read them. I have a joke. I read business books with a pencil and a ruler, right? So, and I write notes on them and all of that. I'm a weirdo. So, by
the way, this is a number 2 pencil, Kendall. Yes, I am using a number 2 pencil.
Right. So I think it comes down to, like you said, Kay, it's audience and relevance, right? And it has, those two things have to marry for anything to make sense and to work. And I think that's why video is going to the level that it's going to, because the audience is wanting it and it's becoming more relevant, right? So as your audience expands and your relevance expands in any medium that you use, it improves and increases the value of that medium, right? So I think that what's going to happen with the newspaper, it's not going away. It's just going to be digital. You know, I mean, we're still reading, we're still consuming newspaper level content. You know what it's called now? A blog, right? I mean, that's what it's been called. That's the new digital form of a newspaper, is a blog, right? So it's not gone away. It's just kind of, it's evolving, right? And I think that that's okay. That's normal. And, you know, I make a joke about, you know, the Jetsons, right? You know, as kids, we watched Flintstones and the Jetsons.
Right.
And we have definitely, we're over here. All right, guys. I mean, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I own a Tesla, and I embrace that technology, not because of the price point of that car, but the technology behind it. That was what I was after. I was like, ooh, it's good for the environment. I can save money on gas. I don't drive a ton as much anymore. You know, I thought of all the efficiencies of it, and I wanted to invest in technology because I believe in that. And it was relevant to me, right? And it was, you know, I was the audience for that type of technology. So that's the kind of thing that we have to be thinking about. So it's not that they're going to go away. It's that they're just evolving, and evolution is normal, right? I mean, that's a part of how we've gotten from where we were. Think about the evolution of our country and of our world just in the last 30 years. I mean, think about the cell phone. I mean, this guy right here, when I was in high school, I didn't have one of these. You know, we had pagers in high school.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Pagers. So we went from pagers with digital texting, right? I remember we had our digital codes for texting via pagers, now to, you know, mini computers.
That's right.
And mini cameras and things like that, which I think is what's so important about what you started this whole conversation, which was, you know, it's less about, you know, the technology so much as, because that's happening regardless.
That's right.
Going to happen with or without us, but it's the technician, and about becoming a master technician of the appropriate technology that is relevant to our audience. Right?
Fantastic.
I mean, I think that kind of like loops it all together. And when it becomes relevant to our audience, it's because it makes their experience convenient and efficient. Right?
That's exactly right. Well, and I think when you were talking about the concept of digital door knocking and things that are working, you know, ahead of us, Sean Quinn asked another great question regarding, do you think that people are interested in audio files as well? Now, Kendall, you've done a great job of transcending all different levels of delivery, because people have different preferences. Exactly what you're talking about, right? So you are an author and you do have a book, but you also have a podcast. You also have your YouTube channel. And I'll post some of these links while you're talking. So if people see my hands go towards the keyboard, I'm not ignoring you. I just want to make sure we get some of this stuff out there. But talk about that, you know, understanding in that mindset, there are things that people want to engage you now, and there are things that people want to get your content or your information on their own. And then there's things where you just kind of want to be out there, right? I mean, you just kind of want to have that out there for people to discover.
So this is what it comes down to me. I'm going to bring two things together. Gary Vee and consumption, consumer consumption. All right. So Gary Vee taught me that you want to multi-platform. Now, it's less about being on every single platform. That's what Gary Vee teaches, right? He'll teach you to be everywhere. For me, it was about where were all the platforms that people, that my intended audience, my target audience, where do they consume information and how can I be there? So it started for me on Facebook, right? I just solely and primarily built an audience on Facebook, right? I used that as my sole platform. Then I went from Facebook and I added IGTV. And then from IGTV, I realized, like, how do I consume content? Because just tip to you guys, I don't consume content on Facebook or IGTV or Instagram. Like, I don't go there to scroll. I don't go there. I mean, I know lots of people do, but the point is I don't, right? Where do I go to consume content? I go to three places. YouTube. I'm a freaking I am a YouTube junkie, right? Like every weekend, if you can find me probably learning something on YouTube.
Sure.
Right? And I'm not there to be entertained. I'm totally there learning stuff. Like for hours, I can get sucked into YouTube. The other place that I go is in the mornings when I am getting ready for work and stuff like that, I am listening to podcasts. I love podcasts. Like, I learned so much from some great individuals and some great communities, right? Like, yes. I learned so many things about marketing from non-real estate people about marketing, via podcasts. That's exactly. And then the third place I go is books. Like, I'm a reader. So that is why, like, those kinds of things, appeal to me. And I know there's other audiences out there like me. I think they're saying that I saw a statistic, like 30% of Americans are going to podcasts to learn and to be educated about something. Do you know there's 330 million Americans? Like, that is a lot of people going to podcasts to consume content. So that's why I believe like it's important to be where your audience is, right?
Yes.
And one of the things that you can do more efficiently, which is what Gary Vee kind of touched on, and I tried to teach this to people and share. Imagine this, guys. Do a Zoom video, because I use Zoom for my podcast. That's why I've been using Zoom for a much longer than many of you guys have, because I've been using it for my podcast since I started.
Sure.
You can record a specific audio track, right? Just the audio. And so what do you do with this, right? So you take a 30-minute Zoom interview with your favorite home inspector. All right, let's take a 30-minute interview with our home inspector. How do we turn this into a multi-platform piece of content? Well, one, we strip off the audio, we throw it in a podcast. Step number one. We take the video and we throw it in YouTube as a long form video, because YouTube is a great place for long form content, meaning 7 minutes or longer, I would say. People will say numbers slower than that, but I will tell you, like when I see videos that are too short, I'm usually doing something while I'm engaging with the video, and I hate having to like find a new video. So
I agree. That's very true.
The 20-minute video is a good chunk of time for me to get into a video before I have to move on, right? So you want a good 20, 30-minute video on YouTube, because people will go on YouTube and sit. That like we will sit on YouTube. We're not scrolling, right?
Right.
The other thing is you'll take that same video and you'll send it to Fiverr if you don't want to learn how to edit. I'm okay with that, right? Because sometimes we don't want to spend time learning how to edit. You will send that sucker to Fiverr, and you will have a Fiverr editor break that up into 10 2-minute videos, right? Or based on question, like having the inspector, you know, answer the question, however long that needs to be, 1 to 2 minutes, and you throw that on IGTV, you'll throw that on Facebook, you'll throw that in LinkedIn, wherever your audience is that you're trying to engage with them, right? So now you've taken one video and you've multi-channeled it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. So
that's efficient, convenient, all that stuff.
You're like Obi-Wan Kenobi and this is great, because Sue actually had just asked a question right when you started in, asking if there are statistics around which is the best platform to engage the audience and do those types of things. And what I hear you saying is make sure you're hitting every level, but you just gave us 4 very, very easy tools, very easy ways for us to hit all channels, right? And for us to understand in those channels, that same piece of content, you don't have to continue to reproduce. That goes back again to efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. There are so many things that all of us have been inundated with and great ideas, but are we implementing them? If we're honest, sometimes we're not, because we're intimidated by how do we get our hands around all that? And the video capture aspect of it, and the fact you can separate that audio file. Now, I'm going to go a little more granular for some of those people that want to do their own editing. If you're using any platform, whether that is Final Cut or iMovie, or any of those platforms that allow you to bring video in there as a file, in every single one of those platforms, if you right-click on it, it'll ask you if you want to detach the audio. And that's what Kendall's talking about. You simply detach that audio. It'll stay on the same track, unless you move it, as the video. But more importantly, you can scrape that audio off in a different file and use that for the podcast. So that, like you said, it's a great way to do both.
Well, Zoom will automatically do that for you.
Yes, yes, that's exactly right. It gives you 2 files.
I just have you get multiple files. I have just the audio. I can even separate, if you're like a master editor, I could have an audio for UK and audio for me and have them separate, but I'm not that badass. Sorry to but
there it is.
but you know, hey, I have limits, you know.
That's right.
But anyway, so you can multi-track it. Like Zoom allows you to do a lot of things with podcasts. Like if you are really interested in podcasts, hit me up on DM and maybe I'll do a YouTube video on like just some basics, how to get started, like your media host. Like there's so many things you probably don't realize. You need an editor, you need a media host, you know, all these different things. You need an intro, you need an outro, like all these things I learned. I'll even link out to the people, the gurus that I learned from. I'm happy to share that. So if you guys DM me on Facebook, I'm happy to, like, if I get enough of you that makes sense to do something like that, I will definitely do that. And at least get you guys introed into it so you can then do your thing.
That's right. So I want to finish with a couple different things more in a lightning round format as we start to wrap up here. One of the things is, and we changed our business. We changed the way that our standing operating procedure in the past 6 weeks has absolutely changed. We are now, with every buyer and with every seller, we are doing onboarding through Zoom. So immediately when we get a lead, our immediate response back to them is, when can you set up a Zoom call with us? When we get on a Zoom call, specifically with our buyers, we talk them through what it's like to be a buyer with us. We don't skip any steps, which is the second thing. Don't skip steps just because you're on video and it's more comfortable. Make sure you got your hair done, even your COVID hair. You know, you can rock it a little bit longer, whatever you want to do, right? That's exactly right. But don't skip the process with your clients. Give them the full process and the full experience, but we can do it so much more efficiently because we can talk through their expectations. We can see them one-on-one. We can even ask them in the house that they're currently in, what are things about that house? Would you mind showing us around a little bit of the things you love now that we should be looking for in the next house? And then we can take them directly into the Google Zoom tour, go down to the street level, walk around different communities, familiarizing with the communities. And Cleve Gaddis talked about this. I know you talked about it as well, Kendall. Some of your agents are doing it as well. And then we can take them right in the MLS and start looking at properties intimately so that we start to refine that buyer consult. And we just took 3 meetings down to 1 so that when we do get face-to-face with them, or like in Colorado where we're able to show, we can immediately then focus on the property and their needs. We're not trying to set the framework. How do you see people in your office? How would you advise people to use that even from a listing standpoint and an engagement standpoint where you might be competing? Is video a differentiator that you can communicate this way?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, even whether you're doing a buyer consultation or a listing consultation or recruiting appointment for my brokers out there.
Yes.
Zoom is an absolutely wonderful place, or platforms like this, to do that. One, you can screen share, you can, show videos and things like that to show your value proposition. I mean, hey guys, you could be, now think about taking your print presentation and turning it into, a beautiful PowerPoint or keynote that now you can incorporate client testimonials. Like, here, let you hear from my clients. Click play on a video. I mean, that is going to be so much more easier and efficient to do than when you were trying to do it live and whip out your laptop and maybe they had Wi-Fi, maybe they didn't.
Right.
And, all the different hangups that can come up when you're trying to go very digital in the home at the listing appointment. Another idea I had with that was, why aren't listing agents Zoom conferencing in a title rep and a mortgage person to just explain that part of the process? Not that they're, especially title on a listing, we all know the reality is, while, it's either seller pick or buyer pick, but oftentimes they're relying on who we recommend, right? And we tend to have our favorites, right? Our favorite title, our favorite whatever. And bring them in to the conversation. Have them pop in for 3 minutes just to say, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm going to be the title rep. I'm the one that you are going to see or you're not going to see at the closing, but I'm the one that's going to be emailing you every day, asking for this and asking you for that. Hey, what is a title commitment? It is XYZ. Like, why are we doing that? This is a great opportunity that on a listing side, that if you want to take it to the next level, you want to level up, you want to improve that hustle, you need to bring these bodies in there, even if it's already pre-recorded. It doesn't matter whether it's live or pre-recorded. Get that into the presentation, make that a part of your Zoom call, and that will definitely, I think, take it up to the next level on the listing side, for example.
So you just gave me another great idea, and I know some of my teammates are watching this, and we're going to implement this, and I'm going to see how it goes, and I want you guys to implement it and let us know how it goes. But we used to send out just listed, just sold. Well, now you can actually use video, and you're going to have a testimonial from the person you just sold. What if you posted a video on YouTube of the entire process, from the video listing presentation all the way through you showing things virtually, all the way through them closing virtually, and you showed how the continuity of your business didn't change, it got enhanced during COVID-19? That just makes me excited. So thanks for giving me another thing to put on the to-do list that we're going to start implementing, Kendall. That is fantastic. Well, I know we could go forever. I want to make sure people pay attention to the chats. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, please make sure that you take a look at some of the different links. Look for Improve Your Hustle. Go subscribe there. See what's going on there. For those of you that are wondering about podcasts we listen to or information that's out there, please follow Kendall. She is incredible, and you will just enjoy getting to know her as a person. For those of you that were wondering, I know earlier in the broadcast we talked about Agent Next 2020. I'm going to post a link to that. You can follow that on Facebook. And we're actually getting ready to launch off on there, talking about the future of real estate and how we got here. So it's going to dovetail a lot of things that we're talking about here. But our goal collectively is to make you better technicians leveraging the technology out there. So Kendall, I am going to give it to you for final words before we close out.
Thank you. Can I share my last screen and make a comment on this?
Do it.
You guys on mine. Okay. So I'm going to talk you through while I screen share this. I was in a mastermind group a while back, and let's see, how can I get this to, and I had an owner, another broker, or another colleague, I should say, I don't know what their level was, but say it as a response to my thoughts about technology, that, oh, well, we just want to make sure that we don't diminish our value to the consumer. They already think they pay us too much, and if we make it look too easy, that's going to cause us to have harder conversations about commission and things like that. And honestly, guys, when I heard that, I was just sad. Like my mindset was like, that is so sad that we have diminished ourselves to associating our value with showing 10 homes instead of 2, right? Or that, hey, we're no longer taking the photos. We're doing, we've tasked that out. We've tasked out all these things. But I'm going to tell you guys, there is a lot of value in what we do. We just have to get better at knowing it for ourselves and explaining it. And so I want to challenge each of you guys to take time to think about, what is your value proposition? What are all the things that are unique to you or special about you through this process that you bring to the table? What are the things that you have mastered? And because I know you, and I have agents in my office, and I know just how agents think, I started a list for you, and it's right here. Today, I'm going to tell you guys, marketing. We used to say it takes 2 things, or we've always said, and we'll continue to say, it takes 2 things to sell a home: price and exposure. And we used to associate exposure with putting a listing in the MLS and letting it syndicate out, and that was all you needed. But guess what, guys? That's not true anymore. We have new competitors now with marketing. We have to get better at marketing. We need to be providing the type of marketing that our customers have come to expect, and we need to market not just listings, but ourselves as well. And so that includes things like 360 tours, and even thinking about virtual reality concepts and the oh my God, I can't think of the cardboard, Google Cardboard. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. You'll thank me later. But that has associated with virtual reality and things like that. So we've got to so marketing, that's a skill you need to go learn. One of the things that I've done is I've learned about marketing from non-real estate professionals. That's so right. One of my favorite podcasts, because someone asked us in the chat, is the Social Media Examiner. It's a blog that has a podcast, so social media marketing with Michael Stelzner. Mm-hmm. And he also has a YouTube channel now that he's growing. I love his podcast. Love, 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 love it. I've learned so much about marketing. He talks about YouTube, Instagram, stories, Facebook. He talks about it all on social media marketing. Okay, so Agreed. Go there. Another skill set you guys need to be mastering is negotiations. Now I'm going to say something to you about this. What is negotiation? It is a good negotiation is an exchange of value. When a customer, and I'm going to give you an aha moment right here, commission. You present your commission and your customer asks you to cut it, okay? And you say, okay. That is not, when you tell them, oh, commissions are negotiable, and then they ask you to cut it and you say, okay, that's not a negotiation.
Correct.
A good negotiation is exchange of value. So when they ask you to take less money, ask them what services would they like to eliminate from what you are going to be doing for them. Boom, right there for you, right? Say, go ahead, have your aha moment right there. So you need to exchange value with them. Otherwise, if you can't be a good negotiator for your own value, how are you going to be a good negotiator for theirs, right? So that goes without saying. Next up, communication. How are you mastering that? Are you communicating with them in the way they expect to be communicated with? I'm going to tell you and I'm not going to go this detail into everything, but these first few are really important to me. But with communication, the breakdown in every relationship, whether it's been your personal, your professional, it doesn't matter. You can trace every breakdown, every fight you've ever had in your life back to a lack of, people not meeting your expectations, basically unmet expectations.
Absolutely.
And unmet expectations are a result of bad communication or poor communication often. And so part of communicating is not always asking people what they should expect, but actually just telling them what to expect. That's a great way for you to eliminate some of the confusion and mistrust that people have, is because you just didn't tell them how you would be handling things, right? So you didn't tell them, hey, I'm only going to call you on Tuesdays with updates. You didn't tell them, I'm only going to email you, or please just text me if you need me. Things like that. If you're not communicating with them and telling them what to expect and telling them how you want to do business with them, they're going to expect it the way that they think it should be done, which is oftentimes completely opposite of how you have always done it, right? Then of course, your other value proposition is education, right? The education you can give them and the education that you have received, right? And then of course, the technology that you're using and how you're using that to be more efficient and provide conveniences for them, like your electronic signings, and the fact that you can take them on to tour, 10 homes virtually. These are all the different things that you can do in order to enhance their experience. And another tech tip is Messenger. Okay, guys?
Yes.
Use Messenger. Do you know, I had a great conversation with my good friend, Michelle B. I don't have her phone number. I called her via Messenger and we talked for 45 minutes. I don't even have her phone number.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It is the new thing. Use Messenger. I could even have video chatted with her if I wanted to, right? You don't have an iPhone because you don't have FaceTime. Guess what? You have Messenger and you can video chat and do all of that as well, right? So I won't go through the others, but the other 5 are systems, resources, experience, relationships, convenience. Those are 10 value propositions that you have that you should be mastering, and finding a way to communicate that more efficiently in every appointment you have with every consumer, and all your videos that you're sending out to consumers about why they should work with you. We're a part of a nation of some of the best realtors in the world. I'm honored to be a part of this group. I'm honored to be a part of this network. We have some wonderful, wonderful minds. It's now your turn to be the masterful technician, as Kay said. This is your turn now. It's time for you to stop planning, stop thinking about it, and start doing it. Start taking action. If you walk out of this event today and out of COVID and out of this meeting today and you change nothing about your business, get out. Get out of the business, because there's too many lessons here. There's too many great opportunities. There's too many wonderful ways that you can be better for your customer as a result of this. So I'm getting off my soapbox now.
Oh, no, I love your soapbox. That's fantastic. Well, with that, there's nothing else left for me to say other than we love all of you guys. Stay safe out there. Drive your business and please engage. Let us know what you're doing to make us all better as an industry, because when the best attack it, amazing things happen. You guys be well. Thanks for joining us. Kendall, you are amazing. Agent Voice, we are gone. See you guys later. Take care.